President Trump says he looks forward to a second meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Turns out that meeting could be here in Washington. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders tweeted that President Trump asked senior aide John Bolton to invite President Putin to Washington in the fall, and those discussions are already underway. So the fallout continues after President Trump's summit with the Russian president, and now thousands of people are talking about and sharing this image. The latest cover of Time magazine. It shows the faces of President Trump and Putin morphed into one person. So let us know how you feel when you see this cover of Time with that blended image of Presidents Trump and Putin. Tweet me with the hashtag #OffScriptOn9 or just go to my page at Adam Longo TV. Time magazine posted this animation on Twitter showing the pictures morphing back and forth. The headline is "The Summit Crisis." So that cover plays into what President Trump said on Twitter this morning. Take a look. He says the, quote, fake news media are pushing for a major confrontation between the U.S. and Russia. President Trump, of course, dealing with the fallout of his trip to Finland and meeting with Putin. He's tried this week to backtrack on his comments, siding with Russia instead of U.S. intelligence agencies when it comes to Russian interfering with American elections. President Trump told CBS Evening News anchor Jeff Glor that Putin is to blame for the meddling.
You say you agree with U.S. intelligence that Russia meddled in the election in 2016.
Yeah, and I've said that before, Jeff. I have said that numerous times before, and I would say that that is true, yeah.
But you haven't condemned Putin specifically. Do you hold him personally responsible?
Well, I would, because he's in charge of the country, just like I consider myself to be responsible for things that happen in this country. So certainly, as the leader of a country, you would have to hold him responsible, yes.
Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is asking for hearings on Russian sanctions to punish the country for election meddling. U.S. intelligence agencies have warned that Russians will strike again in the 2018 elections. So moving forward, teenagers from around the country are coming here to D.C. to fight for the environment. We're going to talk with two of them on the way. Don't forget, you can always tweet me using the hashtag OffScriptOn9. Sound off on what we're talking about on the program, and we'll share your tweets on TV towards the end of the show.